Hello, YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Bands of the Alphabet. Yes, so last time we talked about my favorite band that starts with the letter Q, and today it's on to the letter R, and boy oh boy, this is going to be a fun one. So my favorite band that starts with the letter R is Rush. And if you didn't figure it out already, if you're new to my channel, Rush is my favorite band of all time. So this was a no-brainer. And also the major honorable mention was a no-brainer. But first, let's talk about Rush. So Rush is a very important band to me. They were the first rock band that I had ever listened to. One of the first bands I've ever listened to. And as I said, my dad was and still is, a big Rush fan. And he turned me on to the 2002 album Vapor Trails. And, well, I basically loved the second side of that album. But I remember when I was in preschool, my dad turned me on to the 1978 album Hemispheres. And at first, I didn't want to listen to it. But then, through time, I have grown to absolutely adore that album. And if you remember from my past videos, Hemispheres is my favorite album of all time. Like, all time. Any genre. It is a flippin' classic album. There is no denying it. This is Rush pretty much at their prime. It's, in my opinion, it has the greatest production in Rush's catalog. It has the best instrumentation in all of Rush's catalog, the best vocal performances, the best guitar solos, the best bass lines, the best drum fills. This album is nothing short of a freaking masterpiece. I mean, what more can I say? Of course, the lineup on here is, of course, the main lineup of Rush. Geddy Lee on vocals, bass, and keyboards. Alex Lifeson on guitar, and Neil Peart on the drums. The late Neil Peart. Rest in peace, Neil Peart. So, when it comes to the songs on Hemispheres, I've already talked about this in some of my other videos, like on my Magic Metal Mondays videos, on my top 10 albums, and on my Rush album rankings. I specifically said that all of the songs that are off of Hemispheres are all classics, and that is true to the fullest extent. All 4 songs off of Hemispheres are frickin' rock and roll classics. Some of the best songs ever written. First off, let's talk about the songs that are on the second side first, because I'll get to the one song that's on the first side in a little bit. So the second side has 3 songs, which starts off with Circumstances and The Trees. Both are freaking killer songs. When you're holding up those 2 together, I kind of prefer Circumstances a little bit more, but still The Trees, there's no denying that The Trees is a freaking killer song. There's no doubt about that. And then my favorite instrumental of all time, La Bea Strangiato. Do I even need to talk about it? You either know that song or you don't. And I highly recommend that you go check out that masterpiece of an instrumental. It's about 9.5 minutes long, but not a single second is wasted. I absolutely love that track. And now, the moment you all have been waiting for, we are going to be talking about my favorite Rush song of all time, and that is side 1 of Hemispheres, which is Cygnus X1 Book 2, Hemispheres. This was the sequel to the final song off their previous album, A Farewell to Kings, from 1977, the Cygnus X1 Book 1, The Voyage. And that in of its own self is also a freaking amazing song. But when it comes to the Hemispheres version, oh my freaking gosh. Do I even need to explain Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres? It is, without a freaking doubt, one of the best progressive rock epics ever written. I mean, starting off with the prelude part, which is the main thing that Rush plays live. I saw them play on the prelude of this song on the R40 tour. That was a freaking amazing version. And then you go on to part 2, which is Apollo and Dionysus, basically introducing the heart and the mind, with Dionysus representing the heart and Apollo representing the mind. Yeah. And then when it comes to part 3, Armageddon, their differences causes a tension, and they battle for the heart and mind. And then when the main character from the previous song comes in part 4, which is entitled Cygnus, he tells a story to Apollo and Dionysus, and they decide to make him the god of balance, as mentioned in the line, "We will call you Cygnus, the god of balance you shall be." And that just balances the heart and the mind coming together as one in one perfect sphere, as mentioned in the final part, which is the sphere. And I absolutely freaking love that concept. Most prog rock nerds might also dig it as well. Okay, so with that said, Rush, Hemispheres, favorite album of all time, favorite Rush album. What more can I say? Now, when it comes to the honorable mentions, the first honorable mention we have is another one of my favorite bands of all time, and that is REM. They are my third favorite band of all time, behind Rush, of course, and another band that I will talk about eventually on this series. REM, like Rush, is a very important band to me. They are extremely influential. They basically created alternative rock and indie rock. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of indie rock or alternative rock out there, but REM is definitely an exception. They absolutely do it right, in my opinion. I mean, like Rush, they never released a bad album. I even enjoy freaking Around the Sun. It has some pretty freaking good songs, in my opinion. So, if you want more information on what I think about REM's albums, then you could go watch my REM album rankings that I did on Magic Metal Mondays, and I talk a little bit more about it there. But overall, REM, freaking amazing band. Love that band so freaking much. Next up, we have the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yes, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were kind of like this funk rock type of band where they would include rapping in a lot of their songs, but not in my favorite Chili Pepper song, which is the song Other Side from the 1999 album Californication. And Other Side was basically the song that got me into the Chili Peppers, so there you go. Alright, and lastly we got Rainbow, the band Rainbow, which was Ronnie James Dio's first band. Now, obviously I could have chosen a lot of great bands, no disrespect to the Rolling Stones, no disrespect to Rammstein, all those great bands out there. But Rainbow, their first 2 albums in of its own self are freaking amazing. And I love Dio, and Richie Blackmore is a great guitar player, but it's mostly the Dio show. This was his first band, then he joined Black Sabbath, and then he did his solo career. I absolutely love the stuff that he did with Rainbow. And once again, rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio. So, there you go. Alright, and so with that said, that concludes this edition of Bands of the Alphabet. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122 signing out, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.